So I want to talk about the iPad Mini 7 since it's my absolute favorite iPad of all time, and honestly, it's the worst iPad compared to what's out there right now. It has the worst screen, it has the worst battery, it has the worst performance and all that. Yet for me, it's the iPad I reach for first before any other iPad that I have. Even compared to my M4 iPad Pro, that is an absolute overlord beast of an iPad. And honestly, I'm coming back from a family vacation where I chose to take my iPad Mini 7 with me instead of the other ones. And man, was it ever useful while I was away. Now, of course, like many of my reviews, this is a very non-technical review. So if you want, specs and benchmarks and stuff, you probably won't find it here. This is going to be sort of just my everyday real life review of the iPad Mini 7 after using it for like 4 months. I'll still have the specs popped up here somewhere if you do want to check that out. Now, you might consider this almost a love letter to the iPad Mini 7. Just spoiler, I really flippin' love this iPad. I also do want to give a huge thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring a portion of this video, but more on them in a bit. Now, starting to talk about this iPad here, it sort of goes in hand with my 2025 and simply slowing everything down. Now, first with this iPad, it sort of makes sense, at least which you'll probably see, is talking about how this iPad fits so incredibly well into my 2025, mainly since two things, I guess, resolutions, if you will. And the first one, honestly, is to just slow down everything. As a person, I'm constantly rushing into anything and everything, whereas I'm rushing to complete my next YouTube video, I'm rushing to watch a show or a movie, rushing to finish a video game or to get to my next destination. And for 2025, I really just want to slow down as a whole to find a better balance between work, school, parenting, life, and everything in between. And honestly, for me at least, to slow down a bit, I find the iPad Mini 7 is a huge way that helps me in that. The first way of which is getting the hell off my damn iPhone every now and then. You might have heard that from one of your parents. It's that damn smartphone, or it's that damn video game, or it's that damn whatever else. Sometimes they're onto something, they might be right, but honestly, sometimes it is that damn iPhone. And getting off of my iPhone 13 mini, which I really do love. It's an incredible device, but sometimes I find myself having a bit of a doom scrolling issue where I might just see all the doom and gloom in the world, or I'll just get hooked into some nonsense. And so right now, I love using dumb phones. This is my current device, which is a dumb phone. Mind you, it still runs almost full Android, but the screen is simply so tiny, you can't really doom scroll that. With that, again, it helps me slow down quite a bit. Now, where the iPad Mini 7 comes in is where it helps me stay connected to everything I might still need, like FaceTime, iMessage, all the apps I might need, like the daycare apps for my daughter, and any sort of security apps, two-factor authentication, and all that fun stuff, and even apps that I use every day for work. Despite this not particularly being a productivity beast of an iPad, it still has a lot of the apps I need on the regular. But yeah, even despite this iPad and its size and everything in between, I'm less likely to do doom scrolling on here. I don't know why. You definitely can. It has, apps like TikTok and Instagram Reels and Reddit and all that. But for some reason, I'm far less likely to doom scroll on there, which I do appreciate. So yeah, the iPad Mini keeps me connected whenever I am using my dumb phone. So I really, really love that. And that's the first way I sort of have found an easier way to slow down. The second thing for my 2025 resolution, again, if you want to call it that, is to simply read more. Yes, believe it or not, I actually do know how to read, and I've sort of grown to enjoy it quite a bit. And despite my desk setups frequently having pretentious ass books that are sort of just there as decoration, I do like to read on my iPad, and if it wasn't for my iPad, I probably wouldn't read at all. With that, for 2025, I want to read more than 3 books that aren't self-improvement or autobiographies or whatever. I want to get into reading some sort of fiction, particularly science fiction or something like that. If you guys have a recommendation, please let me know in the comments. I'm totally serious. Let me know your best recommendation. I'm talking about a 6 out of 5 star read that you simply can't put down. I want one of those. So yeah, I want to read that on my iPad since that's what I'm aiming for this year. For anybody who wants to suggest a book that loves to go in depth on heaving bosoms, I'm not interested in those sort of books, I'm sorry. But if you do still want to leave a couple titles down in the comment section where books talk about heaving bosoms, let me know specifically in great detail the author and the name of the book so I know exactly which book to avoid, if you know what I mean. Jokes aside, I do want to talk about the size of this iPad, since that's sort of what really makes it special to me, of course, is the fact that it's just simply so tiny yet powerful at the same time. And you might be asking, why don't I just do all these things like reading or using my apps on, iPad Air or iPad Pro or whatever? If I'm all honest, again, it sort of just comes down to the size. As a wannabe minimalist, I really just appreciate smaller tech. My tiny, not so dumb phone is small. My iPad mini is small. My main computer is an M2 MacBook Air from like 2021 or 2022 or something. It's really small, and I just really dig small tech, including my iPhone 13 mini, wherever that is. So yeah, when it comes down to size of my tech, I always appreciate them to be quite a bit smaller, even if it is going to be taking a hit to performance. And I'm definitely okay with that. For me, at least, the size of this thing honestly just has more value to me than any super powerful chipset could. So yeah, I just really appreciate that. Mind you, my M4 iPad Pro is an absolute beast. It's beyond crazy. Honestly, it's more powerful than my main editing machine. Again, my MacBook Air. My iPad is more powerful than my MacBook Air, which is crazy to say. Now, the iPad mini is no slouch, and I'll sort of touch on that a little bit as well. Despite it not being my, super powerhouse of an iPad, it does do an incredible job. But yeah, getting back to the size, honestly, going on my recent trip to Disney World with my wife and 2 young kids, the iPad came in totally clutch. You can be as good a parent as ever and pack all the books and toys and coloring you might want for a 4-year-old on their first flight. But after about the 2-hour mark, for the sake of all the passengers around you, yourself and your sanity, as well as your kid, the iPad does come out, and she really did enjoy some shows that I had loaded up on there for the last, 30, 45 minutes of the flight down to Florida. So yeah, it came in huge clutch while we were on the flight, and throughout the trip, it was again my way to connect things and to plan out the days. And yeah, incredible tablet, especially for the size. And one of the things that I really have grown to appreciate even more, even though I've already fallen in love with it, is the Apple Pencil Pro, because over the last couple weeks, I've gotten into coloring, which is a weird thing. I've never really been into that before. And yeah, even as an adult, you can get into coloring. You just find some sort of PDF online. You search them. There's like a million of them online. Yeah, you can just save the PDF and start coloring. And honestly, it's something I really appreciate. I just like throwing on a vinyl record. I've been loving my vinyl records. I actually got a new one. One second. Okay, I just got this one a couple days ago. I didn't crack it open yet, but I just got Sum 41's Chuck vinyl. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing this and coloring so I can feel like I'm 12 again, even though I already act like I'm 12. But yeah, I just love throwing on a vinyl record and coloring. It's another way for me to sort of just slow down. That's not always, playing video games or watching a show or movie, even though I could stand to do more of both of those. Now with that, of course, I mentioned I had a video not too long ago about my M4 iPad Pro. And this thing is an absolute tank. It's a beast, it's powerful, and it's everything you could ever want in an iPad. But with that, I find my iPad mini 7 more chill, whereas I sort of give myself permission to not be so productive, if that makes sense. And again, that sort of goes back to helping me slow down for the year of 2025, which I've really grown to appreciate. And what I find, again, going back to the Apple Pencil, is that the iPad mini 7 is absolutely excellent when it comes down to note-taking. Again, alongside coloring and stuff. I'm one of those weirdos that loves pencil and paper. I even have this expensive-ass set from Grove made where you got these fancy-ass pencils from Blackwing. I've got this super stellar pencil sharpener, and I got this whole note-taking set. I just love the feeling of paper pencil on paper. And that goes into my iPad, where I love note-taking. I am an absolute note-taking degenerate. I actually write and start all of my YouTube videos by hand on pencil and paper. And then I transfer that over to my iPad as well with the Apple Pencil, so I can sort of digitize it. And then from there, I flesh out the rest of my video. But yeah, I absolutely love the feeling of pencil and paper on my iPads, which is sort of where today's channel sponsor, Paperlike, comes in. Now, even before they sponsored this channel, I've been a user for Paperlike going back to like 2020, 2021. My iPad Air 4 had it. My iPad Mini 6 had Paperlike. Of course, my M4 iPad Pro and my iPad Mini 7 have Paperlike, simply because I just like the feeling of pencil on paper. And that's the closest way I can get to it using a tablet. For me personally, I just don't like the slippery feeling when using the Apple Pencil on a tablet without a sort of paper-like screen protector. So yeah, if anybody likes the tactile feeling of writing on paper with a pencil or pen on paper, whatever that case might be, you really will. So that's where I really do enjoy it. If the name wasn't obvious enough, the Paperlike screen protector does give you that paper-like feeling on your tablet while doing any sort of drawing, writing, or in this case, recently at least, coloring, which is awesome. Their newer Paperlike 2.1 screen protector does have nanodot technology, which pretty much maintains that paper-like feeling while writing without really sacrificing the image of your actual display. So definitely a huge plus when it comes down to consuming any sort of media, which I've grown to appreciate. So yeah, even without them sponsoring this video, I've had them across all my iPads, and I just really appreciate the reduced smudges as well. For myself, I can't stand smudges on my screen, and these screen protectors do help against that. So yeah, Paperlike is so certain you'll like their screen protector. They give you 100 days. And if you don't like it within those 100 days, you get your money back. But I honestly, truly think you will. So yeah, if you do want to check out the Paperlike 2.1 screen protector, I will have a link down below in the video description. And thanks again to Paperlike for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Now moving on to sort of talking about the display and the speakers and stuff on this, I briefly talked about consuming media on here. And recently I've been attempting to be a degenerate. On my M4 iPad Pro, I blasted my way through The Walking Dead. And now I'm sort of looking at my next show to watch, and I've been more so consuming media recently on my iPad Mini 7. And for me, I really just want to lay into being an absolute slob / degenerate when it comes down to watching any sort of media, because over the last, I don't know, like 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years, I've been watching all of my media at 2 times speed. So whenever I throw on a YouTube video, I'm watching it 2 times speed. A movie or show, I'm watching it at 1.5 to 2 times speed. So if you can think about how ridiculous it sounds to watch something in fast forward, that's what I've been doing. With that, getting back to attempting to slow down, that includes my media consumption. Just watching a show at 1 time speed, picking in all those minute details you might find from a cinematic standpoint, from a narrative standpoint, whatever it might be, just slowing down. Watching content on here at 1 time speed has been a good change of pace. And honestly, I find it so cool that Apple didn't even market the iPad Mini 7 to have Final Cut Pro, but it actually has Final Cut Pro on here. Whether it's my iPad Mini 7 or my M4 iPad Pro, I actually started editing all of my vertical content on iPad just because I find it more chill. It's less, there's less friction, I guess, to get started. I just shoot whatever I want to shoot on my camera. And then I take the SD card and put it right into my iPad and start editing right away. And I just enjoy it. It's this tiny little powerhouse of a tablet. And again, it absolutely just shreds through Final Cut Pro. So yet another thing I appreciate when it comes down to editing. But yeah, to round this whole thing up, the iPad Mini 7, the reason it's special particularly for me is the fact that it's not trying to be something it's not. The other tablets, I find the larger ones, they're touted to be some sort of computer replacement. And if you try hard enough, you can definitely replace your computer with a tablet, with an iPad rather. But the iPad Mini 7 is not trying to be some crazy productivity overlord. It's just trying to be an incredible, powerful, tiny tablet. Nothing more, nothing less. And it does a damn good job at it. For me, it comes down to the size and form factor of this thing being so tiny, useful, yet powerful all at once. And again, it gets me connected to the world when I want to disconnect. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, this is sort of my weird love letter to the iPad Mini 7. If anybody else feels the same way about their iPad Mini 7, let me know. For anybody who's wondering about the iPad Mini 7 versus the iPad Mini 6, they are practically the same. There are some differences like Apple Intelligence on the iPad Mini 7, and I sort of go over that in my original review. It's very useful, but it's not game changer. So yeah, something to keep in mind. Beyond that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If anybody else wants to join me in trying to slow down in 2025, let's do that together. And if you are going to be doing that, leave a comment. I legitimately, truly want to know how anybody else is choosing to slow down in 2025 and to not be a psychotic mess like myself sometimes. Anyhow, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.